from within, having stayed here for 12 good years.
Thank you very much, Judge, for that response. My next question will take us back to the Martin Charo case that you've been asked about from a different perspective, though. Often when a judicial officer is working or handling a case, you find yourself in a situation where the law kind of conflicts with your personal views or your personal sentiments on the subject at hand. I'm looking at the Martin Charo case. I've read the decision, and one gets the impression that in that judgment you are dealing with several aspects of our sexual offences law that have generated a lot of debate. The age of consent, the minimum sentences, the defense of reasonable belief that the victim is above 18 years old, and even the Romeo and Juliet clauses. And one gets the impression that your sentiments, your personal sentiments may not be in consonance with what the law provides for. So what I want to hear from you, Judge, is what do you do in scenarios where you find what you believe as a person conflicts with what the law provides for?
Actually, it's not that the judgment is contrary to the law. That would be a narrow interpretation or looking into that judgment. As Commissioner Majanja has said, maybe the hue and cry is maybe the communication. That is another aspect of looking at it. So the several aspects, the age of consent, it's not that I'm advocating for the reduction of the age of consent. In another judgment, I tried to explain, I think even in that one, how other countries have the age of consent, some as low as 14. But the issue is not even the age of consent. The issue is, I'll go back to the question by acting CJ, the social aspect of the law. Is the law serving the people, and how do we interpret it? Because also it's an issue of interpretation. If I were to operate that when the ingredients of defilement, age, the action, and identification, and go to prison, I don't think that is the duty of a judge. The issue is you have to analyze what transpired. So the age of consent to me is not an issue, but my issue is also the minimum sentences, because as a judicial officer, having seen an 18-year, until recently, an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old boy with a 17-year-old girl, the boy goes to prison. Until recently, when I think one of the judges said they all could not consent and acquitted them. So this minimum sentence to me is a problem, because it ties the hands of the judicial officers, and it is contrary to the aspect of independence of the judiciary, because the judicial officer is the one who is hearing this case. Because compare the Martin Charo, assuming I was wrong and I was to convict, can you compare Martin Charo with somebody who violently pulls a young girl to the bush and defiles? Yet all of them get the same sentence. In the case of Martin Charo, these are people who have been dating. Even they went to the parents' home and slept there for 3 days. Even the brothers knew where their sister was. So can you say because the law provides minimum sentence, everybody should suffer the same fate irrespective of the circumstances of the case? I don't think so. So the minimum sentence should, Murwatetu case has come up with the aspect of murder, but I can see it being applied across all other cases. reasonable belief that the minor was...
allow me to interject, please, because I've been made aware of the time. What I wanted to get from you is in instances where you find your personal views are conflicting with the law. You've already given us your perspective concerning the minimum sentences. You've given us your perspective concerning the fact that the law does not necessarily take care of the scenarios that you're talking about, the scenario where someone has violently attacked a child and sexually violated them, or where a child is cooperating, which in my view covers the Romeo and Juliet scenario. So what I'm asking basically is, when you find that there's conflict between what you feel or what the beliefs you hold as a person and the law, how do you treat that scenario? Thank you, Judge.
Okay. I don't think by writing the judgment I was enhancing my personal feelings. There are no personal feelings there. All what I'm saying is the law should serve the society, and that normative aspect, positivism of applying the law the way it is, I'm not in favor of that. What I'm saying is the law should serve the public, and it's not that I'm imposing my personal views that it's my interpretation of the law. It might be taken that by interpreting the law, it's skewed towards my personal views, but to me, it's just my honest interpretation of the law that under Section 8.5 and 8.6, a judicial officer should look at the circumstances of the case. The word circumstances is there in those provisions. Look at the circumstances of the case. Do they exhibit an aspect of defilement, or they exhibit something else? And since the law does not give you the leeway to say, although there was an aspect of, you can call it even defilement, but the circumstances are different, I'm imposing 2 years, people will say the law does not provide for 2 years, or are putting this person on probation. Then you have to interpret it wholly and see, this was not defilement.
Thank you very much, Judge. My next question is, do you think that the consequences of a decision should be of concern to a judge when a judge is handling a matter?
When you're handling a matter, you are dealing with a specific problem there and then. Definitely, each judgment has consequences, but it all depends on how you are looking at these consequences. If you are too timid, I can sit there as a judge. Whatever appeal comes, I dismiss because the magistrate did good work, and I will not be in the limelight. So, if you are consequences-oriented judicial officer, you have no place in this judiciary. The consequences should guide you to effect the law so that the society will be able to know what aspects of the law is. So consequences, you can look at them, but it's not that maybe people can say, Said wrote that judgment without taking into consideration that women might think that he is against them. No. One aspect of this role of a judicial officer, I don't know whether it's impartiality or propriety, is the capacity to be independent and make your decision as per the facts and as per your interpretation of the law. The consequences, whether they will be hue and cry, they can be cured by other people. If the matter go on appeal, let them even dress you down. But to me, this aspect of independence, of making your decision, it's inbuilt. In fact, I have no issue sleeping over a file for like a week. I don't know what else. If I read your file, I look at it. It's not that I hastily make a decision, but with the experience, you just make your decision, the consequences can be positive, they can be negative. But if you want to be popular, you are seated there, just sitting on the fence, not making decisions which may have negative impact on you, then I don't know. But to me, the negative consequences are also admissible. So it's true you can look at the consequences, but does it shape are you saying something which is contrary to the society? We can't sit here and say young girls and boys are not engaging in this thing. The COVID problem, we have seen many girls sitting for KCPE when they have just delivered. It's a social problem. So me, I'm not saying that I don't know the society. I know the society. And I'll give you an example. A lady appeared before me in Malindi with a kid. She's a witness. And she was 17. I looked at her, she looked younger. So I was wondering whether to do the voidaya or not. But I see she has a child. So I asked her, how old are you? She said, I'm 17. It was a murder case. I think a relative had been murdered. So how did you get the child? She told me, this is my second born. When did she get the firstborn? So this is the practicality of the law. So people can sit and give you an unnecessary award, but this is the reality. Go there on the ground. You have seen it. You convict a 20-year-old boy, the 17-year-old girl is crying, where are you taking my husband? These are the problem of the society. Those are the consequences. Now, do you look at the law and say, go to jail, or do you look at this girl who will turn 18 next year and be free to get married? And maybe they have a child. What do you do with this child? Who will take care of the child? I can give as many examples. You're taking care of time. In Marsabit, a young girl who was in Form 3, she was defiled by a boda. They had a child. The family knows. Even they got married. One day, the father goes to the child, to the boda to ask for money for milk. The girl is in school. This boda is a young man, he's playing pool. And he tells him, Mzee ngoja nimalize hii game.